Good day. Here are the stories for the Manila Times for Sunday, October 3, 2021. It's a go for the tandem of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio and Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo in the 2022 national elections, President Rodrigo Duterte said on Saturday. Duterte made a statement after Go filed his Certificate of Candidacy or COC to replace him as the vice presidential candidate of the ruling party Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan or PDP Laban, led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi. The president confirmed that Duterte Carpio will pursue the presidency next year, but does not know when the mayor will file her COC. After endorsing Go's candidacy for vice president, Duterte announced he is retiring from politics. A detained pastor, a comebacking legislator, a broadcaster, and 13 others filed their certificates of candidacy or COC at the Sofitel Manila in Pasay City on Saturday for the May 2022 elections. The second day of the COC filing went off to a slow start compared to the 41 on Friday, but ended with a bang when President Rodrigo Duterte accompanied Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, who filed his certificate of candidacy for vice president late Saturday afternoon. Director Eliza Zabila David, head of the poll body's Education and Information Department or EID, said out of the 16, 1 was for president, 1 for vice president, 5 for senators, and 9 for partyless groups. Juan Victor Inde from Lubao, Bohol filed his COC for president. Joel Pastor Apolinario, broadcaster Rafi Tulfo, Loreto Banosan, Jose Victor J.V. Ejercito, and Rodelo Bidoy filed COCs for senator. Except for Ejercito, who is running under the National People's Coalition or NPC, the others are independents. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Jose Maria Joey Concepcion III and molecular biologist Nicanor Ostraco Jr. on Saturday called for a more comprehensive alert level classification for COVID-19 threat in the National Capital Region or the NCR. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases or IATF-EID extended the pilot run of the new alert level system in Metro Manila until October 15 despite the declining COVID-19 reproduction rate in the area. Malacanang said on Saturday that President Rodrigo Duterte wants to expedite the passage of House Bill 10152 or the 2022 General Appropriations Bill, which he called a pandemic budget. Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. said with Duterte certifying the bill as urgent, he hopes the House of Representatives would be able to pass it on the second and third reading. Duterte, in the letter read during the House plenary session on September 29, said a spending measure must be immediately enacted to address the need to maintain the continuous government operation following the end of the current fiscal year or FY, to expedite the funding of various programs, projects, and activities for FY 2022, and to ensure budgetary preparedness that will enable the government to effectively perform its constitutional mandate. The Congress is still deliberating on the proposed 5.024 trillion national budget, which is 11.5% higher than this year's 4.506 trillion pesos. Speaker Lord Alan Velasco earlier said the House aims to pass its version of the 2022 national budget by September 30 or before Congress suspends session on October 17 to November 15 for the filing of certificates of candidacy for the May 2022 elections. Key members of the U.S. Congress have expressed their full support for further strengthening the ties between the Philippines and the United States as two countries mark 75 years of diplomatic relations and 70 years since the signing of the Mutual Defense Treaty. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. held a series of meetings on Friday with key members of the U.S. Congress who expressed support for intensified cooperation between the Philippines and the United States. Locsin, together with the Philippine Ambassador to Washington Jose Manuel Romualdez, met with Senator James Rich, Ohio Representative Steve Chabot, and Connecticut Representative Joe Courtney. Locsin went to Washington, D.C. after attending the 76th UN General Assembly in New York last week. During the meeting, Locsin also expressed Manila's gratitude to the United States for its donations of vaccines now reaching over 9 million through the COVAX facility. The American lawmakers, for their part, thanked the Philippine government for getting the Visiting Forces Agreement or VFA back on track, underscoring the critical role of the Philippine-US alliance continues to play for the security and stability of the Indo-Pacific region. Locsin, who also met with the other U.S. senators who affirmed the centrality of the Philippine-U.S. relations for the stability of the Indo-Pacific region, thanked the Philippine government for bringing the VFA back on track and recognizing the key role of the Filipino diaspora in the U.S. In business, the lackluster list of presidential candidates for the impending national elections next year, according to research consultancy firm Capital Economics, foreshadows a bleak future for the Philippines. Capital Economics said that the Philippine economy remained poor, with gross domestic product or GDP falling by 1.3% quarter on quarter in the second quarter and now hovering around 9% below its pre-COVID-19 epidemic level. Topping sports, the top 4 teams in the elimination round are also the remaining teams left standing in the PBA Philippine Cup semifinals, and they take part in a pair of best-of-7 series. TNT, the top seed and the first squad to make the Final Four, begins its best-of-7 series against the only team that defeated them in the tournament, San Miguel Beermen. The two teams square off at 4:35 p.m. TNT is the hottest team in the PBA Philippine Cup as the Tropang Giga won 11 of its 12 games en route to the semi-final round. The Tropang Giga, gifted a twice-to-beat advantage in the quarter-final round, ousted last year's champion Barangay Ginebra 84-71 last Wednesday. Chot Reyes, the returning multi-titled coach of the franchise, expect every game to be a lot tougher now that the stakes are getting higher. Today's front-page columnist is Marilyn Ronquillo. He believes the issues surrounding formerly Pharmaceuticals Corporation made pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles the country's second biggest grifter. Our editorial today believes that hazing imparts wrong values and justifies violence. Read a full version on the paper's opinion section or listen to the Voice of the Times. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to its digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram and keep up with the Times. For the Manila Times, this is Paulo Dimapi.